Hey y'all, welcome to the Old Latrell Show podcast, where I talk to you about everything that I have learned about the blood type diet and holistic and purposeful living. So today in this episode, we're going to be talking about the blood type books, where I'm getting all this information from in the first place. So let's get right into it. Like I said before in my last video about my 1 year review on the blood type diet, I found these books, or I found the blood type book in a vegan juice shop. So this is the book that I found. And for those who are listening on the podcast, I'm holding up the Eat Right for Your Type book. And you can always come to my YouTube channel to see the visual version of this podcast. This is the book. As you see, it has a bunch of tabs in it and sticky notes because I was taking notes. I was underlining and highlighting. And if you can see, it's just so much information. So I'm going to go through this book, just a brief overview. I'm also going to go through this book, Live Right for Your Type, which has a little bit more information that Dr. Diadamo, who is the author, Dr. Peter J. Diadamo, learned throughout his practicing experience as a doctor, a naturopathic doctor. And then we're going to also look into the Eat Right for Your Type Complete Blood Type Encyclopedia. And this talks about the different diseases. Over 300 diseases he addresses. It's a lot. It's a lot of information. Now, what I will say is that I haven't completely read all of these, like from cover to cover. I haven't read each word. And my style of reading, especially with something like this, is kind of getting right to the point, getting to the information that I need. But that didn't always work because I need to understand why I'm eating a certain way. So if I go to the list of foods that blood type O's should eat, I need to know why do I need to eat these foods and why do I need to stay away from these avoid foods, these other foods that are on the avoid list. So that's why I had to read some more. And I'm just like a scholar. I'm a student of information. I'm a student of the body. I'm a student of math. I'm a student of life. So I need to know why. Okay. So first thing about this book is that it came out in 1996 first. And then he republished it in 2016. And it says revised and updated at the top. The New York Times bestseller with more than 7 million copies sold worldwide. That's impressive. People wanted to know what this blood type stuff was all about. Back in the 1990s. I was gonna say 1900s. So just to start off, what's really important that he marked in here, which is called an important note that he has on the first couple pages, like the third page. He said, this book is not intended as a substitute for the medical recommendations of physicians or other healthcare providers. Rather, it is intended to offer information to help the reader cooperate with physicians and health professionals in a mutual quest for optimum well-being. So, as you see, he's not saying use this book and that's it. And that kind of was my mistake throughout this year because, like I said in my last video, I hadn't seen a doctor in over 5 years. So, and it was because of the experience that I had when I was seeing a doctor back to back for all the things that I was going through because I was dealing with some things and I still am dealing with some things. So, reading this book, applying what I needed to apply, and learning the deficit that my doctors weren't able to fill helps me to come to my doctors now with more information about what I should eat and also about how my body works. Okay, what's going on a cellular level, what's going on with my hormones, the endocrine system, the digestive system, the reproductive system, and things like that. Like I know a general, kind of actually a more detailed understanding of how things work based on me reading these books and also doing several Google searches and comparing and contrasting. It's a lot. Obviously, it's the year 2024, and this book has been around for over 25 years. So it's not a fad diet. It's something that is actually based on science, and once you get this book, you will be able to see that. It's not playing, he's not just saying stuff. He's done studies, research, and helped people actually gain health. Like he was an actual doctor. He retired, I think Dr. D'Adamo retired in 2021 or 2022. He just retired, and his daughter now has taken over the business, I think, as a doctor, also a naturopathic doctor. And their office, their headquarters is in Connecticut. So I live in New Jersey, and I've thought about traveling up there to their office to see what they got to say about me, because if I was to get a naturopathic doctor, I would want my doctor to be caring about my blood type. Just saying. Okay, so I took some notes on what is in each of these books, like the breakdown of what Dr. D'Adamo touched on. And I'm going to just share with you a brief overview. So after the note, Dr. D'Adamo goes into talking about the work of two lives. He's talking about the work that his father had done and the work that he's done. So his father, he was a naturopathic doctor as well, and he noticed differences in groups of people. And then he dove deeper and looked at the fact that certain groups of people were a certain blood type and they behaved a certain way, or they reacted to certain foods a certain way, where another group wouldn't act the same way. They would act differently and respond negatively or positively to specific foods, specific exercises, and things like that. So Dr. D'Adamo, the son, Peter J. D'Adamo, I think his father's name was James, he was able to, I think there was a missing link that he talked about. Let me look. Okay, I found the breakthrough that Peter D'Adamo discovered. So on page 3 of the Eat Right for Your Type book, he says, "My first breakthrough came with the discovery that two major diseases of the stomach were associated with blood type. The first was the peptic ulcer, a condition often related to a higher than average stomach acid levels. This condition was reported to be more common in people with type O blood than in people with other blood types. I was immediately intrigued since my father had observed that type O patients did well on animal products and protein diets, foods that require more stomach acid for proper digestion. The second correlation was an association between type A and stomach cancer. Stomach cancer was often linked to low levels of stomach acid production as the pernicious anemia, as was pernicious anemia, another disorder found more often in type A individuals. Pernicious anemia is related to a lack of vitamin B12, which requires sufficient stomach acid for its absorption. As I studied these facts, I realized that on one hand, type O blood predisposed people to an illness associated with too much stomach acid, while on the other hand, type A blood predisposed people to two illnesses associated with too little stomach acid. That was the link I've been looking for. There absolutely was a scientific basis for my father's observation. Isn't that so amazing? And it's like cute a little bit because it's like a father and son working together, and a father and a son supporting his father's like life's work. Like his father had already came out with a book called One Man's Food. Then we go on to the section about human blood type history, and Dr. D'Adamo talks about the migration of people from Africa. He said we originate from Africa, and I explained this in a video I did on the evolution of blood type. Then he goes into the biology of the blood type, where we get into cells, blood type cells, antigens, antibodies, and lectins, agglutination. And this is all related to how the blood cells are identified based on what blood type they are. Okay, they look different, they have different characteristics, and they require different foods based on the lectins. And if they don't get the food that they need, or if they get the wrong food, the food is agglutinated like it's a foreign invader. So then he talks about secretor and non-secretor. A secretor is a person whose blood type characteristics are present on their like saliva and other bodily fluids besides blood. And then the non-secretors blood type characteristics are not present in their bodily fluid. So that's a different type of person as well, and they require different variations of the blood type diet in their blood type. Okay. He also goes into blood type and weight loss, and he talks about the fitness and stress profiles, and talks about specific foods that definitely trigger inflammation, encourage gut dysbiosis or an imbalance in the gut microbiome, leaky gut, impaired thyroid function, disrupt hormone process, disrupt liver function, build active tissue muscle, cause stress and immune balance. So this is across all blood types. And then he goes into the food list for each blood type. So he has the food list. He goes through meats, seafood, grains, beans, and legumes, dairy, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, oils and fats, herbs and spices, condiments, sweetener, additives, beverages, teas, and coffee. All of those categories are addressed, and he tells you what you can and what you cannot eat. And it's not eat the good stuff that society says is good and eat the bad stuff that society says. No, it's a specific thing that may seem healthy, grows out of the ground, but you can't eat it. And it is what it is. So for each food group in each blood type, he has a list of highly beneficial foods, neutral foods, and foods to avoid. Then he has the recommended servings of each food you should eat per day or per week, based on how often you should eat it. And then he has, for some of the portions, he has it sectioned off per race. So the African descent, Caucasian descent, and Asian descent should eat a certain amount, which could be different based on your ancestral descendants. So then he has a 10-day blood type diet challenge, and I'm super excited about this because I'm going to be hosting a challenge in my membership community really soon. So if you would like to get on the wait list for that, go ahead and click the link in the description of this podcast or video, and you'll be able to join and get notified when I open up the community for you to start the 10-day challenge with me. And some expected results are what Dr. D'Adamo says will be achieved. So he said you can expect the following results: weight loss between 1 and 5 pounds. This is over the 10 days. Decrease in stomach circumference, less bloating after meals, reduced joint pain, greater energy, reduction of digestive distress, and improved elimination. So this is what the man said is going to happen. And this doesn't matter which blood type you are. These things are going to happen when you eat according to your blood type. Okay, so he also provides some health strategies regarding medication advice. He talks about investigating the cause of your illness before you take a over-the-counter medication, because it might be stress, it might be emotional that you're dealing with, what you're dealing with. It might not even be something that as major as taking an actual over-the-counter medication, because these medications have side effects. FYI, if you didn't know. And it also could be your diet, which is what we're talking about. I forgot to mention that. He has natural replacements of over-the-counter medication, and he sections these off by blood type. I'm going to get more into that as well. He gives advice on vaccines and antibiotic sensitivities and proper care when recovering from surgery. Then we go into diseases. So in this book, there's like an intro of what he provides in this encyclopedia. He says, the catchphrase that got me is, why some are susceptible and some are not. He has some testimonies in here. It's more like retelling of their story, because they were his patients. He's like, when I met with this specific patient, they had this going on, and I told them, eat this, do this, and prescribed him this. He came back, he was good to go. He talks about cancer, and that has its own chapter. This cancer is a different beast. And then in the back of the book, he has charts, results from patients, common questions. The common questions, that slipped past me. I didn't find out about common questions until a while down the road, after I got the book and I got the other books. So questions that stood out to me is like, why is no one allowed to eat pork? And that's because it really is because it doesn't match anybody's blood type. And that make you think what was said in the Bible, that pork was a unclean food, and that the fact that Muslims don't eat pork. There's a reason for that. Now I know. It's about blood type. So in addition, he also has a glossary of all of these medical and biological terms. And he has references of different organizations, companies, websites. He got partnerships with people who you can get products from, care and things like that. And he has scientific evidence and studies. Oh, he backed himself up. Okay, first of all, he got his own studies, and then he has studies in what do they call it, peer-reviewed papers and articles and journals written by other doctors and other researchers about blood type and about whatever he's talking about. Okay, so there is much evidence. There's a lot of people out there who talk about Dr. Diadamo and how he don't know what he's talking about, but he does. And he's backed himself up. And he practiced it for his whole career. So I'm going to stop right there. In the next video, I will go over what's in the Live Right for Your Type book. Be sure to click the link below to join the waitlist for my community that's going to be opening soon. That's going to serve as a support group for all those who want to join me in eating according to your blood type and living according to your blood type as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, we're going to be doing the 10-day challenge and so much more. So I'm excited. I'm working on it, and I will let you know when it is open. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.